Hi friends, and welcome back to MV Stories. Today we'll look at a few Reddit stories, and if you like them, you can like, comment, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos. Today's story comes from the TrueOffMyChest subreddit. It was posted by random number 3 and was titled, "I purposefully ruined my cousin and ex's wedding, and it's brought me a lot of happiness." I once looked up to my cousin. I thought he was a great guy, and we were close like brothers. I was also dating a girl. I was deeply in love with her and planned to marry her someday. I thought my life was perfect. One day I came home early because a colleague offered to cover my shift. I was pretty tired, so I accepted and went home. Arriving home, I found them in my bed, having sex. Both of them were shocked, to say the least. I told them I wanted them to be gone by the time I got back and left the house. They were gone by the time I did get back, but she left me a note telling me she was sorry and to call her when I calmed down. I didn't call her. I texted her saying that I'd gather her things and drop them off at cousin's in a few days and that she's staying with him now, not me. I followed through with that. It took about a week to transfer everything. Both of them tried to apologize, but I didn't have anything nice to say to them, so I said nothing. I just knocked the door and handed the bags to whoever answered before leaving. My cousin called me multiple times to try to apologize, but I refused to accept it. 3 years have passed since then. I want no contact with them. I didn't bring it up to the rest of my family or any of their friends. I'm not sure why. I just didn't. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize, so I answered. It was my cousin. He sounded really happy and was acting like he hadn't destroyed my life. He explained he and my ex were getting married, and he wanted me to be his best man. I was so angry that he had the utter gall to act like nothing was wrong and lost my temper. I yelled at him and called him names before hanging up. He sent me a text telling me the offer still stood, and if I didn't want to be his best man, then he just simply wouldn't have one. A few days passed by, and I had an idea. I texted him back and apologized. I sent a paragraph of bullshit saying I was still angry, but this could be an opportunity for the three of us to heal and move past it. He was overjoyed and said he'd pay for everything and he'd help me pick out a suit if I wanted, which I accepted because I sure as shit wasn't going to spend any money on his stupid wedding if I could help it. The wedding day came. I had spent the week prior writing a speech, putting all the negative feelings that had bottled up over the years into words on paper. The wedding was pretty good. I'm sure one of them has some nice, well-paying job or something because they must have spent a decent bit of money on this wedding from how nice it was. Our entire family was there, as was a decent chunk of my ex's family. Eventually, the time for my speech came. I just remember feeling really nervous as it built up to it, and my voice kept faltering when I was reading it out, but I didn't and still don't care, at least I got it out. I explained what these two horrible people had done to me. I called them the worst names I could think of and wished them the worst. Then I left. I was expecting some kind of dramatic moment from all the guests, gasps of shock, and all that, but there was none of that. Everyone was silent. On my way home, I got a call from my mother angrily telling me that I'd ruined the wedding, and both of them were so upset, and she asked me why I'd do this. I told her that they deserved it for what they'd done to me, and everything I'd said in the speech was true. She kept defending them, so I swore at her and hung up. Since then, I've gotten several calls and texts from others in mine, and my ex's family angry I ruined the wedding. I've also received a few texts from people who were there being supportive and telling me they were there if I needed to talk. I'm not sure if I feel better having done this, but it did bring me great catharsis when people were telling me the wedding was ruined. At least now, they felt at the very least a fraction of what they've made me feel. Just a little edit to address some common questions. As far as I'm aware, the rest of the family wasn't aware of her cheating on me. They likely knew we were dating at some point, then we weren't. I've learned from previous stuff that I can't rely on my family for any kind of support, so I've been on low contact with them since I moved out of my parents' house, which is why I didn't mention this to anyone in my family. A lot of people are also asking for the speech transcript. I wrote it in a Google Doc and read out from my phone. The delivery was kind of lackluster. I sounded like I was going to cry and tripped over my words, but I managed to read it all out. It isn't verbatim what I said, but it's very close as I was reading from this as a general script. Hello, everyone. I'm not very good at public speaking, so apologies in advance. It's an honor to be at this wedding, and an even greater honor to be the best man. I was shocked that I was even invited at all, since the last time I'd spoken to the bride and groom was when I'd found them fucking in my own bed. Ex's was my partner at the time, you see, but I don't think she got the memo that when you're dating someone, you don't fuck their cousin in your partner's own bed. And it wasn't like cousin's name didn't know we were dating either. Who knows how long this slimy cunt was fucking her behind my back? Weeks? Months? For those unaware, ex and I had been dating for 2 years. I loved her with all my heart and was actually saving up to get a proposal ring. Maybe if ex wasn't such a whore, cousin would be giving this speech instead, and I wouldn't have been struggling with mental health for 3 years. Anyway, I've heard 50% of marriages end in divorce. I hope yours is a messy one. From the bottom of my heart, fuck you both. You ruined my life, and I will never forgive either of you. Relevant comments. Comment 1 says, well, I bet you'll never hear from the ex or the cousin again. How dare they think you would just get over it for their comfort and pleasure? Did your mother have any idea that they had cheated on you? Wear that suit with pride? I hope it was really expensive. Opie replied, I'm not sure if she knew. I'd assume she didn't as I hadn't told her, but I did say in my speech that I found the two of them in my bed together. Obviously with much more graphic language. I'm not sure about the exact price of the suit. I didn't know it wasn't cheap. It was around 300 pounds. I'm keeping it as a souvenir. Comment 2 says, if that's true, you're a fucking boss. That's a lesson to anyone who thinks that they can get away with it with you. Nobody gave a fuck that they stabbed you in the back, but when you paid them the favor, suddenly they care. To me, this is just a nice filter for you. Keep those who supported you and get rid of the rest except your mom. I don't blame the girl as much as your cousin. Anyone can fell on love with a twat, and there's another fish in the sea. But when the stabbing comes from your own blood, that's indescribable. Opie replied, I intend to get rid of everyone, including my mother. The fact that she's siding with her brother's son over her own in all this only tells me that she doesn't love me. So I'll return the favor. Comment 3 says, if I'm reading this correctly, it is completely plausible that nobody but you 3 knew what happened, and he probably got some pressure from the family along the lines. You know what would be really nice? If your cousin that you haven't seen in years would be your best man. They couldn't tell them it was a bad idea, and you showed them why it was a bad idea. Opie replied, that's actually a very good theory. Probably not my mom who pressured him, but my aunt cousin's mom would probably do that. Maybe some of her friends and family who were present as well. My aunt's side of the family. We're not blood related. I'm blood related to my cousin through my mom and his dad. Quite like me, and most of the people reaching out to me in support were from her section of the family. I don't know for sure. I'm genuinely surprised nobody seemed to know why we stopped talking and why they didn't know why my ex and I broke up. Update 1. Hey, it's been a while, a lot has happened. I haven't logged into Reddit other than to look at any messages I've gotten whenever I see the notification in my email. It has helped, and it's good to know that people still think about me all this time later after reading words on a screen. Hell, the most recent private message I got was 4 hours ago as of typing this, and the most recent notification on my post was 10 minutes ago. I haven't responded to any because I don't really know how to begin doing so. I'd feel bad just giving a short thank you, and I'm not really creative enough to come up with over 20 good responses. I do greatly appreciate the supportive words though. Some stuff has happened since the whole mess that was my cousin's wedding. My mom tried to talk to me, said she saw the post I'd made. I pushed her away for a few days before finally speaking to her. I'm struggling to find words to describe how things worked out between us. The easiest way to explain it is that we agreed to disagree on whether what I'd done was correct. I got a mix of messages from those who were present at the wedding, some supportive, some telling me off. I was struggling a lot. I've just gone back to simply functioning like I was before the wedding after I came down from getting my own back. I don't at all regret what I did, and I still feel satisfied that I got payback. I was making plans to take my own life about a month after the wedding. I hadn't told anyone for obvious reasons, but my mom, uncle, and cousin, same cousin whose wedding I ruined, came to me and told me they'd pay for a private counselor since the mental health department of the NHS is under-equipped to say the least. I went to therapy. Found a counselor who was very helpful. He taught me a lot. I got diagnosed with PTSD caused by the discovery of the affair. He's been a big help and has encouraged me to give casual dating a try to build confidence in myself and get used to rejection as a normal part of life. I signed up to a few dating sites, although I'm avoiding Tinder like the plague. My counselor specifically suggested I stay as far away from Tinder as I possibly can. I've not been very successful in that avenue, but it's pretty much in line with what I was expecting. I've talked to a few people and even got a date scheduled, but she stood me up and ghosted me, which hurt. I'm doing good though. Much better. I don't have suicidal thoughts very often anymore. Whenever I'm feeling especially crap, I like to open up Reddit and read your supportive messages. That's all for now. I'll probably start using this account on a more regular basis, so you may see more of me. Update 2. Hey friends, I'm still getting DMs asking for updates and the like, and honestly, I'm still baffled people care enough to ask. I do read your DMs. I've not responded to any because it's a little overwhelming. I've had over 70 people DM me now, all but 2 of whom were sending me messages of love and support. I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry for not responding. Like I said, it's just overwhelming. I might go through and respond someday. For now, I just open up my Reddit and read the messages whenever I'm feeling down or generally just struggling to think positively. It really helps. Anyway, on to the update. Not a lot to update, really. Not had much luck with the dating, so I gave up. I finally went on a date with 2 separate girls, but neither of them were my type, so I didn't arrange for a second date with either. The first constantly talked about her ex and how much of an asshole he was. Obviously, I can relate pretty hard, but it just gave me the impression that she hadn't moved on from him. After we'd finished our date, I walked her home, and she offered for me to come inside and watch a movie with her. I declined and lied, saying I needed to go home and feed my cat. I don't have a cat right now. And she seemed to buy it. I felt bad for turning her down, and I hope she finds someone who'll treat her well. She seemed like a sweet girl, but she's just hung up on a toxic ex. The second girl was just painfully boring. She constantly talked about Love Island, I'm a Celeb, and a few other shows I can't remember the name of. I faked an emergency just to get out of it, because 5 minutes with this woman felt like several decades. Other than that, no bites. And that's fine. My counselor said that if using those sites feels like a chore, then I should stop using them. And it felt like a chore, so I stopped. There's been quite a few common questions in my DMs, so I'll respond to them here. Q says, how are you holding up? A says, I'm doing great, all things considered. I have dark thoughts from time to time, but I have no intention to act on them. My counselor is a massive help. He's taught me a lot of coping mechanisms and has helped boost my confidence from non-existent to probably a bit above average. Q says, hey, did you know your story was shared on YouTube/TikTok? A says, sort of. I've seen the videos you've linked to me, which was the same TikTok video, but not the ones on YouTube or any other platforms it may have been shared to. I'm surprised it's gotten this big TBH LOL, but I'm aware now because you've told me. Q says, have you spoken with your ex at all since the wedding? A says, only when I've been to my cousin's house to visit with my mom, which is infrequent. I don't speak to either of them much. My mom just insists I visit him since he's paying for my therapy. I think she's trying to somehow repair our relationships, but once I'm well enough to not need therapy anymore, I'm going to go no contact with all of them and move to a different city. Q says, continued from the previous question, if you do speak to your ex and cousin, what do they say? A says, anything that isn't related to the wedding or fucking each other in my bed. They do everything in their power to avoid talking about anything even tangentially related to those things. If you have additional questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll try to answer them if I see them. Relevant comments. Comment 1 says, how do you know for sure that the therapist is on your side? Your cousin is paid for therapy, so what guarantee is there he didn't by your therapist into manipulating you? Why are you visiting, letting your mother force you to see them? You're an adult. How do you know that this won't be held against you? Guilting you into being in their presence for paying for you? They'll make you feel like you owe them. They don't feel guilty. They just want to look good in public and say that they paid for your therapy, so it's all good now. Why can't you go no contact now? You don't need a mother like that. Opie replied, I picked him. I had a therapist before him, a lady who basically kept implying I did something to drive my ex into my cousin's arms and various other accusatory shit I wasn't impressed with. My current therapist kind of criticized me for ruining the wedding, but he didn't shame me for it, and he's actually teaching me coping mechanisms. I'm not going no contact in case they stop paying for my therapy, and they probably will try to use it against me, but that's fine. I'll fuck off to another city and never see them again. Comment 2 says, does your cousin expect you to some kind of relationship with him or forgive him because he's paying for your therapy? Do you worry that he'll stop paying for therapy if you're not, well, in his eyes / aren't willing to forgive him, etc.? I'm glad you've got a good counselor, but I'm worried that since it's being financed by your betrayer that there will be some strings attached. I'm sorry for what happened to you. I really wonder how their marriage will turn out, because if they're willing to cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. Anyway, that's not your concern. Yours is healing and living an awesome life. Opie replied, I honestly have no clue what he wants in terms of a relationship. I'm going to ask next time I see him. I do worry he'll stop paying for therapy if I go no contact with him and the rest of my family. They said to me that I need to try and get better, and it took a big argument with them for me to get a new counselor when the first one basically kept implying I did something to cause my ex to cheat on me. Second one was the one I'm currently with, and he's pretty impartial. No judgment. He offers criticism when it's warranted and it's constructive, not accusatory. Comment 3 says, I have some questions that I wanted to know since you made your first post. Is your cousin also trying to repair the relationship, or only your mom? Is he still apologizing and begging you to be friends again? But did he give up? If so, are you going to be friends with him again? If he does a lot for you, etc.? When he sees you, is he happy to see you? Is he thinking about the pain he caused you? Opie replied, he seems to be trying to repair the relationship. He seems happy to see me, as does my ex, but I can tell they're still uncomfortable about the situation. I haven't really asked because I don't care, but what I think is happening is he's asking my mom to get me to see them. I don't plan on being friends with them. Ever. You could hold a gun to my head and give me the choice between pulling the trigger or being friends with them, and I'd choose the former. As for if he thinks about the pain he's caused me, I don't really know. I haven't asked. I don't really care. If he does feel bad, I hope it eats him alive. Update 3. Hello again. It's been quite a long time. A lot has happened, most of it boring life stuff that you won't be interested in. I'd be surprised if I reach even 50 comments on this post, given how long it's been, but I've received messages as recent as a week ago as of writing this post asking about updates. I'm not in therapy anymore. I spoke with my therapist about how my family, primarily my mother, was insisting I visit my cousin and ex. I'll talk about them soon. Don't worry. And he said that it'd be best I go no contact, even if it means losing access to therapy, as being made to see them could make my mental health worse, and there was a chance it could cause a development of CPTSD. I went no contact and the therapy payment stopped, but I'd managed to save up enough and canceled a few subscriptions to keep going for about 10 months, after which I felt good enough about myself that I didn't feel like I needed therapy anymore. My cousin ended up cheating on my ex. I was expecting it to go the other way around, to be honest, but there's poetic justice there, I suppose. That happened about a year ago. When I heard the news, I didn't really feel anything. There was a time where the news would have made me feel overjoyed, and I'd have been riding the high of her experiencing the same thing she did to me. But I think I've truly moved on. I just feel sorry for their kid. I said in my speech that I hoped their divorce was a messy one. And for what I've heard from family and seen on their social medias, it most certainly was a messy one. I don't know if they're still dealing with it. I've heard divorce proceedings can take years in some cases. I don't use social media a ton. I've only got this Reddit account and a Facebook to keep in contact with non-toxic family and friends and snoop on my cousin and ex whenever I get curious. As for me, like I said, nothing super interesting. I moved to a different city. Got an alright job. It can be stressful at times, but the folks there are great and I get on with them. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I haven't thought about harming myself in a long, long time, so there's that at least. Thank you all so much for the support over the years. I wish you all the best in your lives, whatever might be going on in them. Relevant comments. Comment says, somehow my algorithm gave me your first post. Followed all the way to this one, and am really glad to hear this update. Sometimes boring is pretty dang nice. And it sounds like you had a good therapist. Halfway through reading the updates, I was getting the ick feeling that the source, well, half of the source, of your PTSD was footing the therapy bill and your mother was inserting herself. Sounds like you disentangled well. Here's to boring for a little bit longer, and then finding a bit of joy. Maybe get the cat you told that one day you had to go home and feed. Hope replied, yeah, true. I might get a cat. I really like the idea of having a fluff ball with some silly name like Cosmos Obliterator or something. Reading back on that post, I feel really bad that I didn't give that one girl still hung up on her ex a proper chance. I think I was really judgmental and made up my mind too soon. I think I just saw myself in her a little and I didn't like it. Definitely hoping I get some kind of lucky break, but I won't hold my breath. I've survived this long so far. I'll make it through whatever there is to come, be it boring or not.